with all due respect.
Hey, we're Josh Ortegon and Greg Gaines, and this is With All Due Respect, the show where we keep it real about health, fitness, and performance. From weight loss to sports development, we're covering the conversations that matter.
Follow us on Instagram at Phenom Fitness, PHNM Fitness, and visit www.phenomfit.com to check out our training programs, coaching, and gear built for real results. Let's get into it.
All right, guys, we're here with all due respect, and today we're going to talk about a topic we haven't talked about on this show. We've talked about youth sports. We had a 9-part youth sports series, but today we're going to talk about the recruiting process and the recruiting from high school to college. That's what I mean when I say recruiting. I've been involved in youth sports for 25 years and kind of backwards I got into the recruiting process. When you train kids and coach kids, they want to go play college, and you kind of back your way into the recruiting process. And I've seen a lot change, but today I brought on what I think I call an expert. Chris, I'm going to call you an expert. If anybody's ever called you an expert, somebody's got to say it.
That's right.
We brought on Chris Deering. Chris, can you kind of explain who you are, what you do, what you've done in the scouting, recruiting type environment, and why, if you're a parent or a kid watching this, like, why would I want to listen to Chris Deering, who has been in this game on the media side for a long time?
This is the start of my 37th year. Okay. So yeah, I've been around a long time, seen a lot of different things. And you know, I've seen the changes. It's changed a lot in the last, 5 years. It's changed a lot from 30 years ago. It's just different types of things that you see today that you didn't see 30 years ago and you didn't see 5 years ago. And it's just the landscape has changed. You called me the expert. I'm not here, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I can get your kid recruited. But I will tell you, I work for a website. We rank kids. We look at kids. It's our job to do the best job that we can. A lot of colleges, and it's not the Clemsons and South Carolinas that's looking at our site. Everybody knows who the top guys are. It's these smaller schools, Division I or Division II, Division III, NAIA. They look at our site. They see what we see. We try to put a bunch of film up. We try to talk about kids as honestly as we can. Because my reputation's on the line. If I go out and say, well, this kid is great and he's really not, that puts my reputation at stake. So I try to be honest, and I try to, put the right words out there for what I see. And I feel like being in this media atmosphere for 37 years, I've seen a lot, and I feel like I'm a pretty decent judge of talent at this stage of the game, I feel like.
Can I ask you a random question before we get into it?
Sure.
This is a conversation we have at school all the time. 37 years in the state of South Carolina, right?
Yes.
Can you name the top couple high school athletes you've ever seen come out of here on the football field?
I've had this conversation within the last month with somebody. Top of my list has got to be Stephen Davis, the running back at Spartanburg High.
Yep.
Played at Auburn, played in the NFL. Saw him in high school do unbelievable things, not just in football, but in track as well. Unbelievable, his size and speed and what he could do. Jadeveon Clowney, easily. I mean, everybody knows what he did. I tell the story. This is not one play that gets a lot of talk, but I went to Fairfield Central one night when South Point was playing there, and I saw Clowney return a kickoff about 85 yards. Nobody wanted to touch that kid, and I can't blame him. 6'6", 6'5", 280 pounds coming down the field. Nobody wanted to touch him. He took it to the house. Basketball side of things, Zion Williamson is right there with the best I've ever seen do it. Maybe a kid that don't get the talk in this state that maybe he should. Joe Hamilton, quarterback from my neck of the woods where I grew up, down in Berkeley County.
Yeah.
He went to Georgia Tech, had a great career there. He was just spectacular with football in his hands. He could do so many different things. He was on the same team with Courtney Brown, who went to Penn
Oh,
State.
wow. Yeah,
Was the number one pick in the draft. I mean,
that's right.
yeah, that team was loaded.
Okay, he was from here.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot over the years. Demetrius Summers, one guy right here in Columbia that a lot of people watched. Just a freak athlete, and I always go back to a guy I played with. So Mike, I'm giving you a shout out. Mike Dingle played at South Carolina after Berkeley High School. Played in the NFL for a couple of years. I mean, back in the '80s, he was 6'2", 230 pounds, playing running back.
Oh my Lord, that's a big man back then.
Yeah, that's a big man, and you don't see that today. And back in the '80s, I mean, he was bigger than
Lineman.
4 or 5 offensive linemen.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just unreal, and he was just athletic, off the chain athletic, and just one of the most natural athletes I've ever seen, ever been around.
I always want to have, because that's a conversation that's a conversation before we get into it. That's always a conversation with people that I know in this area. You get high school coaches talking, and I mean, man, you'll start an argument. You'll start an argument.
Yeah,
I mean,
people are
you get
passionate about
mad
it.
at each other on that conversation.
I did a thing. This was maybe 2 summers ago. Had some downtime. Did a thing for a website. The top, I think it was the top 50 basketball players in the Midlands since 1980. Let's just say I took my lumps on social media for some of the picks I had, but I feel good about who I picked and where I ranked them, and I saw the majority of them. Some of them I did not get to see, but I saw the majority of them, and yeah. You want a hot button topic, you start ranking players 1 through 50, and you would get it.
After the top 5, just like kind of segue in what you talked about in the recruiting process, just like how you can kind of name, everybody can kind of agree on who the typical top 5 are. Like when we had this conversation, you could say, you know, Stephen Davis, Jadeveon Clowney, Demetrius Summers. Like you start naming, most people are going to have them in their top 3. Those are easy, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever saw them, I was lucky enough to just see Jadeveon in high school and then Demetrius in high school. I've never seen anything like Demetrius, right? Just like when you talk about the Clemsons and the Carolinas, in the recruiting process, the top 5 that are going to go to those schools, I don't think you have to be a. I think my mom could go out and watch a football game, and my mom could watch the first half, and I said, "Okay, mom, after this game is over, who do you think is the one that's probably going to go play at South Carolina?" And she's going to go, "Well, that guy."
Yeah.
It's not even close. He's head and shoulders above everybody else. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger. That's the
Mm-hmm.
guy that's going to go. It's the next tier where the challenge is, right? Um, in the recruiting process, I think sometimes everybody loves their son.
Yes.
Coach loves their kid. Everybody wants their son to play at the highest level that he wants to because we love our children. It's hard to be realistic with our own kids. But the fact of the matter is 3% of kids are going to go on to get a scholarship to play a full ride scholarship to play college football.
I looked up some numbers today preparing for this thing. Division One is even smaller than that. It's 1.9%
Get a full ride.
get a full ride. That again, that's the best of the best. That's the elite. Again, it's easy to spot those kids.
hmm hmm hmm
The other percentage, it's a little harder to find. It's a little, you got to see how they project, where they could be in 2 to 3, 4 years. You might not expect them to come in and play right away, but with the transfer portal in college now,
Mm.
if you don't play right away, you're leaving. You're going somewhere else.
You think that's
And
been the biggest change in the last 5 years? as far as how it affects high school kids today? Because I have noticed the transfer portal and then the JUCO rules, they've added a whole nother population of people you have to compete against if you're
Yes.
now a high school kid. It's just not the peers you're graduating with.
No,
It's now the ones that are coming out of the portal that you're competing with. Has that been the biggest change?
definitely that's the biggest change because if you are a Division One Power Four coach and you got this kid that's been in another program for 2 to 3 years, been in the weight program, done everything he's been asked to do, gone from 220 to 250 and, chiseled and been part of a college athletic program, and you still got a high school kid that's 17 or 18 years old, knows nothing about a college weight room, knows nothing about eating right, knows nothing about doing the right things off the field. You want that college kid on your campus before you want that high school kid. And these guys' livelihoods are based on how well they judge talent, and they're going to find talent. And if you got to recruit a portal more than you recruit a high school, the 2026 class, the 2027 class, that's what they're going to do. I
Mhm.
don't think you can get away from the high school kids, but it's going to be more of the elite, and it's good. I think it's going to make the smaller divisions, the FCS, Division Two, NAI. I think that's going to make them stronger because you can have kids fall through the cracks that still want to play, and I can tell you their mindset is, "Hey, I'm gonna go to this school and become a starter and play for 1 or 2 years, and I'm transferring somewhere bigger." That's a lot of the mindset now, I think, of kids going at all levels of the football landscape.
So maybe if I'm a kid coming out of high school, maybe they said I was an inch too short, 10 pounds too small to go to ACC, SEC, Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll go to a smaller school, prove myself, and after 1 or 2 years, say I'm a wide receiver, maybe I get 30 catches. I'm gone.
I'm gone.
And now, if you're a high school kid who can go to one of those Big Ten, ACC, SEC schools, and you're a wide receiver, that kid is probably going to take your spot.
Yes, he's gonna in the recruiting landscape the way it's things now. Yeah, that kid that's got 30 catches on the college level, he's 100% gonna take your spot, and then you're left looking around.
I have a friend of mine who's a DB's coach in the ACC. I've trained him way back in the day, which ages me. But he's like, Josh, you don't understand the dudes we're getting. He goes, I'm getting high school kids that are 4 stars that we would never get because they want to go to Georgia or they want to go to Tennessee, but Tennessee and Georgia are passing on them because they're getting the old 4 star.
Mm-hmm.
That was 1 year, went somewhere else for a year, and now they're coming to our school.
Yeah.
We're getting dudes, which means those kids that were that level are now dropping down and going to smaller schools because the
Mm-hmm.
schools that didn't have, maybe they're more an academic school, maybe they're not historical ones that are top 20, but it's still good football, right? You're still playing
Yeah.
college
Yeah.
football. They're getting dudes. I mean, because I had a conversation with him about a couple guys that I know, and they're like, Josh, you don't understand, we're getting dudes now. Like we weren't getting 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the portal. And I think that can be frustrating to high school kids because high school kids are looking back at what it was when they were first fell in love with football when they were in seventh and eighth grade. And they see these kids that were older than them going to these schools, and it's not the same anymore.
Not the same.
It's
It,
harder.
it, it's just a different playing field. It's a lot harder. Um, one thing I do want to mention at this stage of the game too, I got a lot of friends that's in the coaching fraternity, and across the board, one thing I hear a lot of is, well, a kid thinks he's better than that level. He thinks he can play at a higher level. Don't burn any bridges
Yeah, that's
because
Very good
If you
point.
get your education paid for, you need to go somewhere to get your education paid for. And if you can move up, move up. I'm all for that.
Have there been experience because you talk to kids all year long, you talk to coaches all year long. You know, are there kids that have said, "Well, coach, well, Chris, I'm only," or parents, "Well, my son only has these level offers. He wants to wait for these other offers that he really wants to play at, and all of a sudden it's January, February, March, his senior year. He's not committed, and now none of those offers are there."
I was going to say you better figure out how you can pay for college at that point because none of those offers are going to be there.
Yeah, and you've seen that happen. You've seen,
I've seen that happen. Yes, kids that think they can they think that they're going to get an offer. And one thing we didn't, we prepped for this show a little bit. One thing we didn't talk about is a committable offer. You got to be able to commit. There's offers out there, but is it really a commit? Can you commit to that
explain
school
that to
today?
people because people are going to be like, "Well, they offered my kid. He could just commit today because they already offered."
No, that's not necessarily the case. What I mean by that is, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, so I need to be,
Yeah.
you know, across the board here. So there are a lot of schools that might, you get a letter from a school and we would like to have you do this. We would like to have you at this camp. We would like to have you do this. And at the end of the day, we would make you an offer. You can't commit today to that. You have to prove they want to see you on campus. They want to see you perform in their camps. They want to see you perform against other people just as good or better than you. And then you will know. You will know when you get a committable offer. It's in writing. It's not a text message. It's not a direct message on Twitter. There's been some schools I've seen here recently go that route, and that's just not the way it's done.
So if I'm a parent and my kid comes and is like, "Hey, I want to play college sports. I'm going to go to all these camps." Because I've heard parents say, "Well, they got a letter from Wofford to come to their camp, or they got a letter from this school to come to their baseball camp, or they must be recruiting my son." Is there anything that's a telltale sign that you're really getting recruited? Is it a phone call from the head coach? Is it a phone call with your position coach at that school? Like, how do you really know they want you and they're going to recruit you?
Yeah, if all you're getting is an invitation to camp, they just want to see you against your peers and people that they feel like are just as good as you. Um, that's not an offer. I think when you hear from the head coach is when you know you got a solid offer and know that you are able to commit. Um, and all sports are a little bit different. I think because I think football is maybe the biggest sport where you have a chance to go from high school to college and play. I saw, like I said, I think I looked up today. I think basketball is less than 3%
Yeah.
Go on and play in college. And actually, I got it pulled up right here. Uh, Baseball and football are pretty comparable.
Are they okay?
But the baseball landscape's changing a little bit too with the roster limits, and baseball only used to get 11.7 scholarships.
Yeah.
That's changed a little bit now. So that's I'll be honest, I don't know how much I can talk about that because I don't know how well I know it.
Yeah. I don't
Because
know
that's just
football
your
situation
recent.
very well. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know for the longest time it was 11.7 scholarships for a 35 member baseball team. You weren't getting much money. You were the best of the best, and you weren't getting much money.
I have a personal friendship with somebody that won a national championship at South Carolina who had things named after him, who was one of the best pitchers of all time, who left with school debt.
Oh yeah,
In
I think I
baseball.
know who you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's one of the most dominant College World Series pitchers of all time, and he left with school debt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how much money do you think that guy made the university? Like, pretty good, right? One question I have when it talks, I think this is a question. Is there a myth around being discovered and players saying, oh, I just don't have the exposure to get those college scholarships I want? In the time of social media and how popular high school sports is, and how big of a business finding the right kids is for, I mean, you know, I always go back to like those random kids that went to a 1A school that everybody knew about because
Hmm.
it's your job to know about kids.
That's right.
Do you think it's a myth of, well, I probably would have got those offers. I didn't expose myself, or I wasn't discovered, or I got passed over. We all know people, kids that slip through the cracks and go to a school and all of a sudden they transfer out and they're dudes in college, right? Like
Yes.
they went to a small school and all of a sudden they're dudes 2 years later at a bigger school if they transfer. Is it a myth of, oh, I didn't have the publicity, or my coaches didn't promote me enough?
I've heard everything you're just talking about, every bit of it. My coaches didn't promote me. I'll tell you one of the sayings that it drives me crazy. I'm being slept on. No, no, you're not. Again, these coaches, their livelihood is to know who these kids are. And again, with social media, I tell you, I watch a lot of huddle film,
Okay,
and most high school kids, I think, can put together a pretty decent huddle film if they're a starter and one of the better players on the team. I feel like across especially the course of a season, you can put together a pretty good huddle film. But it's the small things in the huddle film that the coaches are looking at. Body language is part of it. How do you move? How do your hips move? How do do you catch the ball at the highest point? It's a lot of things these coaches look at. Um, and then, outside of watching film, they are calling your school and they are asking, what type of kid is he? What type of grades does he have? Does he do the right things? Is he a natural leader? I mean, it's these coaches' livelihoods depend on this, and they have to know these things.
I've had
And
every
they
kid
are
I've ever
calling,
had, any kid I've ever been involved in the recruiting process with, 100% of the 100%, I can say this 100% will say, what's he like in the weight room?
yeah.
100% of them.
I'll tell you one thing I watch a lot, and you've seen me on Friday nights. I've been on your sideline before. One thing I watch for a lot is body language.
You mentioned that to me, yeah.
Yeah, how do you react when things don't go your way? How do you react when things get a little tough? I want a dog. These college coaches want a dog. They don't want somebody that's just could say, you
Okay.
know, have a bad, these shoulders go down, head go down. If you do that on the high school level, man, they can eat you alive on the college level.
Oh yeah.
You better figure it out quick,
I watched
because
game film with a friend, and I said, and we're talking. He's like, "Well, let's pull up the film." I go, "Let's pull up his huddle. I want to show you, kid. Pull up the huddle." And I'm seeing this kid make great plays, and he's watching plays, and he's watching things. He's like, "Yeah, but you see that? Well, did you see how he broke on that ball real hard? Well, the guy made it. Yeah, but did you see the break, the angle? Oh, wide receivers. Oh, did you watch him on the far side? Like I knew he wasn't running that route. Oh, he wasn't interested in making that block, right?
yeah,
He might be talented, but I was really shocked at we were watching film of a bunch of guys, what he was looking at versus I was looking at a highlight clip of unbelievable plays.
yeah,
He was breaking down the small things that matter when everybody's good on the field.
yeah.
That was mind blowing to me. That was a learning experience for me. Um, what do parents need to know, right? Like, how can a parent, again, taking emotion out of it because it's hard. right? I had a friend
Mhm.
of mine say, there's two things parents are always going to be emotional about. It's money and their kids. How can you realistically, and I know you've probably had parents come to you in your 37 years and say, "Hey, Chris, what do you, where do you think my kid could fit? What level could he play?" And you're honest with them, and they go, "Well, you just don't know my son." Well, no, I'm
I've
trying to,
had that. Yeah, 100%. I've had that.
yeah. Give some advice to a parent who's listening to this and say, how can you get an honest evaluation of what level your son wants to play so you can manage the expectation so he's not somebody who in January, February, and March thinks he's going to get the Tennessee offer and passes on the, you know, the East Tennessee offer.
So the first thing I'm gonna tell you is, and this is gonna be a huge shout out to the coaching in South Carolina. Trust your high school coaches.
Mm,
Those guys know. Um, they're not out to get your son. Again, they want to win. They're there for a reason. Listen to your high school coaches, and then for the parent, I know everybody's got a different financial situation than everybody else, but if you can get a kid to camp and get him around, again, people just as talented or more talented than he is, you really can see where they fit in.
mm.
I feel like anyway. I had $3. None of them were how they only two of them did anything athletic wise. One was a cheerleader, one was a swimmer. They were never going to do anything in college. Um, and I was realistic about that. It's you're good. It's okay to be a good high school player. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, you look across South Carolina, some of these small towns, these Class A schools, and you've got some legends in those towns that things didn't work out. And I go back to my time as well. I played with the kid too. I felt like was just as talented, um, if not more so than the guy that played at South Carolina, the guy that played in the NFL. He didn't do the things off the field. His grades weren't the best. He didn't. He never played in college. He never played a down in college football. I think it's sad to see those type of things. But for parents, it's really hard because again, the emotion plays a part of it, and you want the best for your kids, but you also need to be honest with them and be realistic. And again, if you can go anywhere and get your college education paid for, don't look that gift horse in the mouth. I mean, man, it's that's huge. That is huge. And if you get to play football on top of it, that's even better. And again, the transfer portal's there for a reason. If in 2 years you feel like, hey, I'm ready to take the next step and I'm ready to go somewhere else, by all means, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best thing I can tell parents is try to be realistic with not only with your kids, with yourself, and where you feel like they stand. And one other thing, I've had parents come to me with this as well over the years. How can you help my kid get recruited? I can't help your kid get recruited.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I write about them. There are a lot of coaches that read what I write, yes, but I can't help your kid get recruited. I mean, I'm not in the school. I don't know what he does during the day. I don't know what his grades are. All I see is what he does on Friday night. Um, but I've been honest with some parents over the years, and one thing we touched on just a little bit ago, I've told parents, I don't really like his body language when he comes off the field. You need to correct that first. They don't want to hear that, and I get it. I understand. But one thing, if you talk to me, and this goes into my everyday life too at work, you're gonna get honesty, and I think that's the only way to go and be honest with these kids and their parents. And
I think
you
you're
know,
doing in your job, Chris, I think you're doing a kid a disservice by telling something that's not true and lifting the expectation up.
yeah,
Maybe that might be easy and what the parent wants to hear, but in the long run, you're hurting the kid. And when I was in the private training industry, we ran a camp every Saturday. And as we look back at it, guys would come to us with their kid And we had some dudes like Stephon Gilmore senior year came to a few of them. And I was like, well, and that kid was, people were like, well, what are you going to do with him? I said, what do you want me to do with that? Like, nothing. I
Yeah.
can't do any, like, he's fine the way, like, maybe runs a tenth, like half a point 10 faster on the, maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah.
he's incredible. He moves. I've never seen a kid move multi-directional at a 4.5 in my life. Like he backpedaled a 4.5, he cross-pedaled, he shuffled a 4.5. Like that kid's incredible. And
Yeah.
we had other kids that would come and parents would come and they'd say, well, I heard you know so and so. Could you call a coach for me? And I'll ask them, I said, well, what do you want me to say? And they'll say, can you just tell them about my kid about that you think my kid could probably play at that level? I said, yeah, but I can't say that because he'll never trust me again.
Never trust you again. That's right.
I have to be honest. It's kind of like when I'll see coaches post height and weights of a kid on Twitter or X, and they'll say like he's 6'5", 230. No, he's not. He's
Uh,
6'3", 205. And when you get to a camp and they measure that, they're never going to come talk to you in your school again. They're never going to believe you.
So, you know, that is a practice that is as old as high school athletics.
Yes.
Kids are bigger, stronger, faster than what they really are. We, I'm gonna plug my website here
Yeah,
for a
please do.
minute.
Please do.
Don't
You're
mind.
coming on.
Prep Redzone
Yes.
with the South Carolina Coaches Association and here in South Carolina. And some of your kids came this past year, which I was very happy to see. We run these camps in the springtime, and one thing we get is an honest height, an honest weight, a wingspan, and it's not fudged. And you got a real 40 time and you know, a real vertical, and those things matter because yeah, we've had so many kids come to us again, like you said, 6'5", 280. He's 6'2", 240. Yeah, that's not helping anybody out by just putting that out there.
Yeah. You're putting me in a bad spot when you do that and coaches do that. They don't realize they're hurting a kid. Um, Coaches will never come back. You have to be honest with other coaches. You have to be honest with the parents. Um, One of the things I used to do, and if you're a parent, this might help you. In the private industry, a parent would come and say, can you train my kid? He wants to try to play at this school. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get all the numbers on your son, height, weight, speed, game film, everything. Where do you want to go? And he'll say, oh, his uncle played at North Carolina, wants to play at North Carolina. So, okay, what position is your son? Defensive back. Okay, I want you to go on a website or wherever and find all the DBs that they've offered in the last 5 years. And I want you to get their height, their weight, their 40 time, and and some measurables.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this kid's 5'7", 155. And they'll come back and go, it seems like every kid was 5'10", 5'11", ran a 4.5 and was 175. Okay. So what's your son? Well, he's 5'7", 150. Okay. What's that mean? Maybe look at some other schools. Great. That's your idea. You said that, right? I didn't have to say that, right? And I think it's very hard. It's a sensitive thing with kids because what kids see on social media is a highlight clip of all these kids getting offers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see the other 95% that don't. So they think all these kids are getting offers. They think there's a trick. They think exposure is a thing. I don't think exposure is a thing anymore. I think it's $1 billion industry. If you
Yeah.
were in a 1A private school in Bluffton, I don't even know if there is a 1A private school in Bluffton. That's why I'm saying it. And you were a 6'6", 270-pound offensive tackle that won the shot put and ran a 4.9,
Mm-hmm.
they'd be at your door all
But
day.
you mentioned that, and there's, and you probably, I don't know if you've seen them because I don't think you guys play these. I don't think you play Orangeburg Prep anymore.
The tight
That
end.
tight end.
The dude.
I want to see him because I've pulled his film up. I've watched his huddle. Um, I'd like to see him in person, just to see, if what everybody's talking about and what everybody's writing about is real.
Yeah, and it's a small school in Orangeburg, and there
Yeah,
just happened to be a dude, and I'm reading articles about him. So they're gonna find you. I don't think the old of nobody knows me. I'm not exposed. My coaches don't promote me. First of all, I've coached for a long time. I've known a lot of coaches. I've heard people say, "Well, the coach just doesn't like my kid." I promise you, that's
I
not
promise
the
you.
truth. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. He loves your son. In fact, he coaches his son and probably works 18-hour days because he loves your kids.
Yes,
It has nothing to do with your son. So if he says your son can't play at this level, it's not because he doesn't love your son, right? It's he's trying to be honest with you, and it's hard to be honest with parents, you know?
it is.
We talked about this before, and I have run into this so many times in my years as in the private industry and working in high school is scams, shady recruiters, guys out on the street that tell kids, come work with me or come to my high school. I'm going to get you recruited. Or pay me $150 a month and I'll drive your kid to camps and I'm going to get them recruited. Um, man, there's so much of that, so many of that around. I first ran into it in like 2007 and I thought it died, but now it's back.
It's back more now than it was in 2007, even.
That's scary.
Yeah,
Right, because they're all hanging around our facility, bringing kids,
yeah.
hanging around kids, coming into our facility, trying to cut us deals like, oh, when he goes pro, we'll give you 1% of his contract, things like that, right? How do you identify that? What is that? I don't think parents even know because when somebody comes to a kid or sees a kid at a camp and the guy approaches them and say, "Hey, I help kids get recruited," it sounds nice to a parent.
The best advice I can give there is say no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll let my high school coach deal with that aspect of it because nobody can get you recruited. The first red flag to me is if somebody asks you for money,
Hmm.
cut it off right there.
Hmm.
They're in it for themselves. They're not in it for the kids. Um, my temper sometimes gets the best of me. I threatened to fight one of these guys a few years back for this very reason. But they cannot help your kid. They just cannot. You're a high school coach. Your assistant coaches, they're more in tune with these college coaches than any of these guys that can come and say they can get your kid recruited. They cannot. I cannot get your kid recruited. Um, so don't think that I can. I cannot. I cannot say things that won't get your kid recruited. I'm just giving an honest opinion right now on the job that I do. Um, these college coaches are making a hell of a lot more money than I am. I guarantee you they know it better than I do, but um, nobody can get you recruited. It's a very hot button topic for me. I see these guys hanging around, and they're hanging around the Power Four kids, and they're trying to get in, and they're like you said, when he gets pro, I get this kickback, and man, these guys can't help you get recruited. They don't have the connections on the college level that your high school coach does. It's just not there. They can preach it all day. They sound good. I mean, they should have sold cars or something in their real life. They sound good doing it, but they can't help you. They can't help your kid. Again, if somebody ever asks you for money for anything, that's a red flag. Just cut it off right there.
What about some of the recruiting sites that you come in and they help? Like there's recruiting sites out there that, if you send our film, we'll put it in a database.
Well, and that's the website I work for. We do that. Our film it's in a database. we try to get accurate measurables on the kid. Um, we got a rankings content coming out here in a few weeks.
Yeah, when does your
We,
ranking come? We're filming this. What's today? The 29th, July 29th.
yeah.
When does your rankings come out?
So we do it by class. The class of 2026 will be out, I think, mid-August.
Okay.
We've had a lot of conversation this week. For the class of 2026, we have 500 kids ranked.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of huddle film
Yeah.
that we watch.
Yeah.
And there's kids. I mean, and I'll be 100% honest. There's kids out there that we've probably missed. I mean, we've just missed them. I mean, it's hard. We got a group of, a lot of media sites are dwindling. We are growing. We got 5 or 6 people with our site for South Carolina. Not we're national, but
Yeah.
just for South Carolina, we got 5 or 6 guys. 3 of us has been in it for 30 plus years. We've been around the block.
Yeah.
I feel like we do. I feel like we do a decent job. One of our guys is the South Carolina director of the catapult system that puts the
Oh,
vest
okay.
on the
Okay.
kids.
Yeah.
Um,
Pretty cool.
that's a big measurable.
Yeah. And the new thing to me in this game is verified numbers.
Yes,
Verified numbers come through the catapult.
catapult. Yes,
Yeah.
every kid that comes to these combines that we have in the spring, we put a vest on them.
So so your combines, kids get verified catapult numbers.
Yes,
From my understanding, those go into a database that coaches around the country can pull up.
yes,
I found this out 3 years ago. We had a coach come and he was asking about some kids' 40 times, and he had a list of like 3 kids. And he's like, "Hey, I need this kid's 40. Well, do you need the other kid's 40?" He goes, "Oh no, he pulled up. They're all verified. They've already ran it through."
yeah, right here. Yep.
Yeah. No shit.
It, that helps us out tremendously
Yeah.
when it's verified like that because, yeah, if you're a wide receiver and you run a 4.9,
Run a 4.9,
I hate
buddy.
to tell you, buddy, but your rankings has just dropped. I don't care what type of hands you got. Maybe you can get a little bigger and play tight end. I don't know,
Maybe
but
offensive tackle one day.
offensive tackle, yeah. But
But
yeah, we've had some. The guys, and it amazes me. We had the Shrine Bowl combine at the end of May over at River Bluff High School, and the kids that hit 22, 23 miles an hour. I was amazed. I was amazed at those numbers. I mean, that's flat getting it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, South Carolina's been very blessed with athletic talent.
Oh yeah,
Unbelievable blessed with that. We named some earlier, even on the basketball realm. Um, John Morant, Zion.
John Morant.
People forget that Kevin Garnett grew up in Greenville,
Yeah,
right? I mean, the football talent is ridiculous around here. Um, Columbia basketball talent is crazy.
Columbia. I don't know if you saw. I think I retweeted it.
I saw you tweet it.
Columbia was named one of the hottest band for high school basketball players in the country.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I actually just saw something tonight. One of the guys I had top ranked in the top 10 back in the day. He's from Columbia, Eau Claire High School. Derek Carroll passed away.
Oh yeah.
That guy was a man. He was a specimen. He was here right when I first got to
Jermaine
Columbia.
O'Neal.
Yeah, Jermaine O'Neal.
Forget
I
that.
mean,
People forget that.
it's mind-boggling the talent that's come through this city.
It's unbelievable the talent that's come through here. Even talent that like graduated high school, took off somewhere, and all of a sudden you find out, well, like, wait, that guy's from here, right? I mean, it blows my mind. One thing I think I'd like for you to touch on off the field. What role would you say, obviously, character, work ethic, grades, and there's talent? I know that plays a big role, right? Off the field stuff plays a getting transcripts, grades, their character, their work ethic, and what they're like. Do you think that's still something that I feel like when I first got involved in this, we were preaching that to kids like, hey, you got to have the grades. Like, you got to have, they're going to ask for your transcripts, right? Like, they're going to ask what you're like in the weight room. They're going to ask what your, they might talk to one of your teachers
Hmm.
and want to find out what you're like in class. Or, do you feel like that's not an issue anymore? Players know they have to have it. Or I think what you might say now is they'll scroll through your social media.
They 100% scroll through your social media. There are some coaches, college coaches that I'm friends with, and they've told me they've quit recruiting kids because of their social media post.
That's heartbreaking.
It is. It really is. So yeah, social media post. Yeah, everything you just named is a huge part of the whole package. How do you treat your teammates?
Hmm.
I think the word you hear a lot with the less than 2% to go to Division One prima donnas.
Hmm.
How do they treat their teammates? How do they interact with their teammates? How do they interact with their coaches? Again, I'm a big person on body language. When you get knocked down, you get back up, and that's not going to happen the next play. I'm going to be better than that. Those guys probably don't get knocked down a lot.
Yeah.
At the high school level, they probably don't get knocked down a lot, but they will occasionally.
Yeah.
Um,
Anybody if I've seen that's been high level recruited, I'm talking 4 or 5 star, it's been pretty obvious. It took 30 seconds to be around the kid, and you're like, oh, he's different than everybody, whether they're the way they look, the speed, the way they play. Um, it's like I said, my mom could figure out, like, my mom could have gone and seen Jadeveon Clowney play football and say, he's a high school kid. He looks like he's 30.
yeah, easy.
I had a funny buddy tell me, let me think of this. A buddy of mine recently who is in baseball recruiting and scouting and will go to camps and things and help rank kids. He said the sport that has the biggest disparity between the regular kid and the kid that's going to go play big time college sports is basketball. If you find a kid that's going to go to Duke to play basketball in high school, he's 40 a night. That
Yeah,
the
no,
biggest
yeah, I
disparity
think so.
is the kid that goes on to play big level college basketball when at the high school level. That's the biggest disparity in talent is the regular high school basketball player versus the one that's going to go to Kansas, Duke,
Hmm.
all of that. All right. He said that's the biggest disparity, but we've always seen big disparities. I saw Demetrius Summers have a 9 carries and 5 touchdown game.
I think I was at that game. Now that you mentioned that,
North Augusta, because the other guy had went to Clemson, the other guy had like 14 carries and 5 touchdowns.
yeah,
And
I
North
think I
Augusta,
was at that game,
yeah.
and I do remember thinking, "What am I watching right
Yeah,
now?
well,
This is
I've never seen anything like this. How do you not tackle this kid? How does he get 9 carries and 4 touchdowns? Right?
yeah,
That's obvious. Those kids are obvious, and I think we're talking about those mid-level kids. Um, and I think one of the biggest things that made me want to have this conversation with you, Chris, was I would say in the last 5 years, the landscape has changed more than the previous 15.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment."
What coaches are looking for, the type of kids they're getting, the type of things they're looking at. Social media has made kids think that everybody's getting recruited and everybody's getting offers. Um, Parents saying things like, "Well, you just like that kid better than my that other son. That's why you're not getting my kid recruited." That's not true. Like all we can do is pre-visit. All you can do as a coach or somebody in this game is present information. This is who he is. This is what he does. Meet the kid. They have to make that decision, right?
Hmm.
And like you said, coaches are going to take risks on the guys that meet the measurables because if that guy's a miss, it doesn't look as bad as the kid that didn't have the measurables that they just thought he could make it because he was that good of a football player. I've seen the second string kid that's 6'6", 250 get Division I offers when the other guy on the offensive line went to the Shrine Bowl and got no offers, but he was 6'2", 240. I've seen the 6'6"
The
kid
measurables. Yep.
measurables and the projection look, right? I've seen the kid who was 5'9", 165, ran for 2,000 yards, but he was 5'9", 170. And what they don't see is that three of the five offensive linemen went Power Five, right?
Yeah.
They don't see that. He's running
Yeah.
behind three Division One. And I've seen that. I've seen the three Division One offensive linemen with the running back get 2,500 yards become offensive player of the year in the state. And they're like, why didn't he get all the big time offers? Well, because coaches know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
They
They know. Again, they know.
they know. And I think it's really hard for you too, because I think you develop relationship with kids, you know, parents, you talk to them, you know, coaches. I bet there's been times that you've dropped rankings that you probably got an email and are like, are you kidding me? All this stuff. You've talked to my kid and he's ranked 9. Well, it's my
Yeah.
job. I'm not,
We have gotten those emails. Again, I'll put it this way: there's some shuffling in the top 10 of this 2026 class,
okay.
and we're probably going to hear about it from some people, and that's okay. Because one thing I feel like that we don't do, and you talked about the recruiting sites, the On Threes, the other ones that's out there. I can't think of them right now, but On Three is obviously a big one. Um, we look at kids different. We don't necessarily look at how they project on the college level. We look at what they're doing on the high school level.
Okay. So that's the
Um,
difference.
that's different because we can't project what a kid's could be in 2 to 3 years from now. We're a bunch of old hacks that write about sports. I mean, we're not that smart, but we take their production and their measurables. I mean, that's a big part of it, and rank them for where they are right now. And we had a long text chain back and forth yesterday about a couple of kids. Like I said, the top tens changed a good bit.
You guys ever
From
think about it? Do you ever have a kid ranked at 4 and someone's like, you're crazy. That kid's the best player in the state. I mean, do you guys ever have like, I know it's fun banter probably.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, there's one that we had in our last ranking. We had him at 5. I think he's a 5 again this ranking. Um, and somebody told me last week. A matter of fact, last week I was having a conversation with somebody, and they looked at me and said, "How can you have that guy ranked number 5?" I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "He's number 1." I'm like, "Not in our eyes, he's not."
Or are you like, well, have you seen number 1?
Yeah,
Like number one's number one, right?
yeah.
Right. So before we go, I'm going to ask you a toughest question I'm going to ask you. Have you ever been like, wow, that kid took, like you said, I know he can't project to college,
Yeah.
but have you ever had a kid who you've been like, I'm not sure about it? And then he gets off and you're like, wow, that guy is a dude. Like, because I've missed on kids. I have a couple famous misses with some kids that I didn't think, even kids I've worked with, right? That I didn't think. We had a kid that I passed on working with that ended up winning, was the pitcher for a College World Series team. And my buddies still are like, man, remember the time you passed on him, sent him to a different trainer because you were going to work with some other kids, and he was a starting pitcher on the College World Series baseball team. Like, and I'm like, I remember. Like, I have things I missed.
Yeah.
Can you think of some people that you're like, wow, because it's just natural. Like, it's subjective. It's hard, right? It's hard.
It is. Yeah, I mean, every year we miss on somebody,
Yeah.
and I can't. I'm sitting here trying to think of a name, but there's
Blatant ones are easy to get, right? Like I said, the ones we've mentioned that were incredible 4 and 5 stars that came out of the state.
yeah,
We knew, like, I'll be honest with you, I almost consider on a national level, I almost consider the Sellers kid a miss on the national level.
see, so I'm gonna toot my horn on this one a
Okay,
little
toot your
bit.
horn, do it up. Yep.
I saw Sellers a couple times in high school, and I walked away and he's a dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's at a different level than everybody else. Um, and I can tell you the state championship game his senior year. I always tell people the story. His quarterback coach was on the sideline, and the South Carolina coaching staff was down there. And I'm not going to name any names. They didn't know his quarterback's coach.
Oh,
And I
wow.
said, well, hey, I can introduce you. I said, I know him. And I said, I think he's a dude. I mean, if y'all can flip him, yeah, you need to flip him.
Yeah.
And I introduced him, and the rest is history, they say. But I always tell people I had a little hand in Lenore's
Yeah.
getting recruited to South
Yeah.
Carolina.
I was just
Um,
amazed that you didn't see like Georgia, like Florida State, like all these.
yeah,
Was he a shoe in at South Carolina? And people were like, he ain't leaving.
yeah. At this stage, I don't think he's leaving. Obviously, yeah.
No, no, I'm saying
Um,
like coming out of high school.
oh
He,
no, he was committed to Syracuse.
yeah, I knew he was committed to Syracuse,
Yeah,
and then he flipped to South Carolina.
yeah.
But like, did the other big power like did they not offer or were they not?
See, I don't know who all he was offered by, to
Yeah,
be perfectly
I think I
honest.
don't either. Yeah, but now I mean,
Um,
now it worked out.
yeah,
But yeah, I've always been.
even at the beginning of last year, I mean, he struggled. Now, people forget this. When Carolina got off to that slow start, and they were, I think, 3-3. Lenore's was turning the football over. He was holding it too long in the pocket, and I go to the games with some friends of mine, lifelong friends, and they were ready to run him out of town on the rail. And I'm
Oh
like,
man, isn't that horrible? The way it is
I was
now.
like, y'all need to settle down. I was
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
think this kid's got it. I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
I've been doing this a long time. I think this kid's got it. And then the light went on, and they rolled off 6 wins in a row.
Oh, he's unstoppable. He was unstoppable. He was
Yeah,
unstoppable.
he was unstoppable.
Yeah, and I'm
Um,
so glad that um, that area has put out a lot of talent, and obviously he's talented. The South Carolina's put out a lot of talent. Um, I'm glad we had this conversation. I hope parents can watch it and learn. I hope it brings, you've always been great to us and you've always put out great content and you've always been fair in this game. I know there is some shady things that go on in this recruiting game. I just wanted to have a podcast where I'm hoping a parent or a kid could watch it and come out with a few things. One, you're so lucky. You are God blessed if you have the ability to leave high school and continue playing your career.
you
I
do.
don't care what level it is. D3, NIA, D1, your local superstar college, or the college you've never heard of that's in Idaho.
Hmm.
You've beaten the odds to continue playing a game after high school. And if you're listening to this, you should be very grateful.
You should be.
And there's a lot of people that don't have it. If you're a parent and your child has this opportunity, I'll say two things. One, encourage it, love it. It doesn't last forever. Don't let him wrap his identity up in who he is as an athlete. Go watch him play, love it, and hopefully that leads to an education, maybe for free or for a discount, that he can take great memories, learn things about life that he can take into the profession and be a great person because of the value sports give him. It's going to be gone.
It will be gone.
It's going to be gone.
One thing I tell kids, they don't see it because I didn't see it as a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. Man, cherish what you got right now, because one day you could be old like me and you're going to miss it. And you could wish you could go back and do those things again. The bus rides, the just hanging out with your teammates. It means something that, I don't see a lot of my teammates anymore. We 35 years, 36 years away from graduating high school. And I'm telling a lie. Lord, now almost getting ready to be 40, getting ready to be 40. And um, but no matter how long it goes between when I see him,
Brothers.
it's nothing else like it. It's a bond you have for life that you're going to have forever, and nobody can take that away from you. I
I do
mean,
think, Chris, there are people out there who are trying to save that in high school sports. I think the professionalization of this industry, I think, is hurting the experience for a lot of kids.
mm-hmm.
Kids jumping from school to school to school.
We
Maybe
didn't even get into the transfer portal on the high
transfer
school
portal.
level.
High school is there. Yeah, the 1 year transfer portal, and that even brings in more shady people because then the coaches can say, "Well, come here, I'll get you recruited.
Yep.
Here, I'll get you recruited. Come to this school, I'll get you recruited." It's not true. It's not true. It's not. That's a lie. If anybody's getting told that by coaches, it's a lie. They can't do it. You're gonna get found, right? Stay where you got the great community. Like I know some kids can leave. Maybe there's issues at the school or things, but they're lying to you. And
Mm-hmm. They are.
they're lying to you. And it's selfish to do that for a kid. It's selfish to pluck a kid out of a community that he's maybe been at since he was in kindergarten and lie to him and these false lies and it doesn't happen for the kid. And the kid can't get that back. And
No.
the coach is going to coach plenty of kids. Maybe he doesn't care about that one kid, but I care about that one kid, right? I care about that one kid. I care about a kid's experience in the sport, and I'm trying to do my best to preserve the experience for kids when kids are bouncing around from high school to high school to high school because of promises or and don't get me wrong, there's some kids that are getting out of bad situations. Like
They
they're
are.
in really bad places that need to go somewhere else. Um, but I think you do a great job at communicating your thoughts with kids. I think you're always a great. I've told many people to follow you and go listen to what he has to say. And we said, hey, reach out to him.
Yeah, reach out to me. My DMs are open.
Yeah, reach out to Chris. I said, now he's going to be honest because that's his job. If you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to get, lotion rubbed on your butt about your kid, you're probably calling the wrong. I've said, and Chris, I've said
Yeah.
that. Okay, well, you're probably you're gonna hear honesty, but he's honesty because he cares, not because he doesn't like you. But listen,
Yeah.
it might be tough to listen to, but you've always been honest with kids, to me about kids. And I've asked you, hey, what do you think this kid needs to do better at? And you said, and if you're true to your word, you'd be like, body language, body language, body language, body language on the field, right? So I appreciate you coming on, taking your evening to do this. I know this is the end of July. We're filming probably a couple weeks from getting coming out. I might time it around when you guys do your
Okay.
rankings, so we can bust it out when you guys do your rankings in the middle of the month. Um, man, you're to me, I'll give you credit. You do this because you love it, and I
Yep.
think there's honor in that.
What, Josh, I 100% appreciate that. And I will tell you a lot of things. One thing that a lot of people don't know about me, they think I'm a 100% media guy.
Oh,
What they don't know is I work a nine to five job Monday through Friday. This is my side job, but I feel like I do put a lot of effort and passion into it because I do want to help kids. One thing I tell people all the time, and I'm always going to support kids from the state of South Carolina. And again, I can't get you recruited, but I will do what I can for you because I want you to be successful and I want you to be able to have the opportunities that you deserve and that you want. And but again, I'm gonna be honest with you, and but I do want to help kids. Never got into coaching. I thought coming out of high school and college that's something I would get into eventually. Would but been around it with the media, and that's kept the appetite wet.
yeah,
And I'm gonna continue doing it. I told my wife I'll probably do this till they put me in the ground.
yeah.
It's just something I love and it's a passion. And I've been lucky enough. I've been fortunate enough to do this for 37 years.
That's
And I feel like if you're honest with people, that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah. No, I think it does, man. I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to seeing you on the sidelines. I look forward to seeing your rankings and talking to you more about it. Um, man, I tell you. There ain't nothing like high school South Carolina on Friday night. High school
I don't
football.
know. I don't know how to do anything else.
I
I
love
don't
it.
know how to do anything else in the
I
fall.
just think even I mean I go to the baseball, I go to the basketball, I love the Friday nights in football. It is a special thing in the state of South Carolina, and I appreciate you coming on, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good season. I'm coming over to see you here soon. I promise.
All right, man. Let me